Welcome, welcome, welcome. Islam, 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 and welcome to Sisters Standing on Law. This is your host, Anita L., along with my co-host, RVBey.
Islam, peace and love. I just did my calisthenics exercises on that new upbeat. See that?
Yes.
Yes, I did. Wake up, everybody. Wake up. Welcome to Sister Standing on Law. Sisters and family.
We changed up our music, because I actually remembered this song from back in the day, and I felt it was so appropriate to use it in addition to, of course, the Emotions, another sister group. And it's so funny because all the time I've been singing this song, and I didn't even know it said, "We are family. I have all my sisters with me." I thought it was saying I got all my sisters and me.
Nah, with me.
But yes. But anyways, it was such, and it's such a great song. And as I was hunting for it, I found this extended version. I was like, "Oh, this is hot. This is one way to wake up your day." So
absolutely, we're gonna work on the volume and make it even kill. But we remembered right at the last minute that that's what we wanted to do. So it's all good. We're ready to go now.
Yes. Well, I know everybody's probably thinking that today we were going to talk about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1787, and we were, but then we got a great article, dissertation from Sister Jayana, who will be joining us in a moment, regarding this so-called child identification tag that they are promoting, that we just felt, okay, unfortunately, we really got to push this back one more week because we really got to get this information out. This is child identification fraud. Now, why is it fraud? It's for the same reason as the driving instrument, the same reason for the social security insurance. Social security insurance card/number or number/card. For the same reason that the birth certificate is fraud. All of these are evidence and instruments of human trafficking once again. And it looks as though, once again, the corporation, the Union States, think the people are stupid. Specifically, you mothers out there, they're requesting that mothers voluntarily register their fixture. That's what your children are being classified as, fixtures, with the Union State, because mothers are waking up now somewhat, and they're not participating in the whole birth certificate fraud. And, if you have not noticed, many European women, they are not having their babies in these institutions. No. They're at home with sometimes a blow-up kiddie pool, and they're having their babies at home. Meanwhile, our people are flocking to these institutions called hospitals and having our babies there, which is where the human trafficking begins. But we have some mothers who are waking up, and they're not coming into those institutions so that the babies can be branded on birth. However, to nip this exodus in the bud, they have found a workaround to claim the child as a fixture once again.
Boldly.
Well, yes, absolutely. And it's so-called child identification tags. All right? And it's interesting because they're requesting that mothers voluntarily register their fixtures/children with the Union State as a so-called, and their reason for doing this is to keep them safe if lost or stolen. Does that not sound like things instead of human beings? If ever, oh my God, if ever there was a time for mothers to stand up, wake up, it is absolutely now. I mean, what more can they do or say to show that we think you people are so dumb that we can just, flash this, and they can flash this in front of your face and you're going to all flock to it. Now, I will say this particular movement, it has been in the works for some time. Many of us probably heard of it as latchkey. It began as latchkey. Before that, they had to figure out a way to get mothers out of the house and away from the children. So they started systematically conditioning the boys, the sons, to not be tradesmen, which means you're independent. Not be tradesmen, to flash in front of you. Oh, don't you want to wear these Armani suits and gator shoes and come in and sit down at a desk? All right, so then the sons got out of the trade business and got into a desk job where they can flash their Armani suits and gator shoes at a wider audience, instead of just, family get-togethers or some event. No, you can do it on a regular basis. So now once the son got into the corporate world, they can manipulate their ability to generate revenue to such a, this is where the whole affirmative action came from. Get all them sons into the corporate arena. How many generations of sons got into this corporate job and now know absolutely nothing about the liberal arts, which is the trade, which makes you independent. So now they can cut off your job and they will make it so that mothers can easily get a job, right? Because you hear a lot of sons go, they give a job to a woman cricket and they will give it to a man. Well, that's by design. We got to really sit back because their whole objective is to get to the children. How are they going to get to the children? It's always through mother, always. Because they don't think they're out of the house, then they can get to the baby. So now they make it so the sons are no longer interested in trade. They got a desk job, which they can manipulate, right? And now they fire them from they fired all of these sons from these desk jobs, and they got rid of affirmative action because it wasn't fair. And now the mother can go and get a job, and she's making more finance than him, and he's getting a little attitude because of that. He don't even get that. He's being set up. Everybody's being set up because the goal is to get to the babies as young as possible, and they're getting to the babies from the womb. All right. Now, what else plays into this? They make it so that we can go to these institutions that they call hospitals, where all of their research is based on the modern European people. Nothing is based on us. But if they can get the mothers into those institutions, then they can start tagging the baby before it's even born. They call it maternity, what do they call it? OBGYN checkup. Now, we've been flourishing as a nation prior to going to these modern Europeans so they can do whatever they do to tell us that our babies are all right. Our babies are all right. I mean, shoot, we was moving furniture and traveling on the land and planting whole acres, not just one, multiple acres of fruits and vegetables. We were still carrying babies, delivering them, and keep on moving. This was never about our wealth because we ain't never had no problem bringing babies here. Never. We only recently started having problems because we've taken on a lot of these modern European lifestyle, and because it's not a culture, all right? We started doing a lot of things that we never did in our history, ever. And so it's affecting us. The foods that we eat, everything, it affects our ability to reproduce. It doesn't stop it, but it affects. They got us taking these maternity pills. You don't even know what's in it. And interestingly enough, now that you got a whole crop of women, Asiatic daughters, taking these these maternity pills, you got babies being born with birth defects. You got babies being born with parts not right. You got women who are having more miscarriages. You have women that are having diabetes while they're pregnant. Things that we never had a problem with. We're now having a problem with it, and it's because we're so suckered into believing that, if the European man says it's good for us, we might as well go ahead and take it. So let's circle back. All of this is by design. All of it.
And now they want to take the babies, defects and all.
Exactly. They had to get the mothers out of the house. So now they got the mothers out of the house. Where are the babies? Babies are in daycare. Remember, daycare used to be, you couldn't have a child in the daycare until it was like 5 years old and potty trained. Now you go to a daycare today and you will see infants in daycare. What are they doing? Why are they there? They done got us psyched out so that we got to move our elders into convalescent homes because they are suffering with dementia. We ain't never had a problem with dementia before. If you look at our history as a people, I know where you're going around, so let me just say this. If you look at our history as a people, what used to happen is we would live to be 100. You don't believe me? Watch a movie called The Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. She was over 100 years old, and she walked from her house to a water fountain to make a statement. But she was over 100, clear as a bell, all right? And then if you really check our history, when we was ready to pass, we just lied down or sat down and we let go of the earthly body. It wasn't a problem. It was never no dementia. But we got all of these problems now because they spent a couple of generations mentally conditioning us to move away from nature, the nurturing, the nurturers, which is mother. There was a time when there was no doubt whatsoever that babies come from mother. May not have known the logistics of it, but we knew hands down that babies come from mother. Today, it's kind of gray because we got a group of people, new generation, thinking the baby came from the father's testicle. And as long as you think that, you have abandoned your family and you are looked at as an orphan, and these corporations is your surrogate mother, and that's why they're putting out this child identification. If it's lost or stolen, return it to who? not the parents, the state, the corporation. And all of these things, you know, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to yield to Roz. I'm going to say this. I don't understand what happens to us as a people. I'm not just talking to the Moor, talking to the modern Europeans as well. I don't quite understand what happens to us as a people. Yeah, we can blame it on this mental conditioning, but at some point we've got to wake up. And I don't understand how we have absolutely missed it that government, people are put in place to make sure that the liberties of the people are safe from foreign and domestic invasion. There's no law, and I challenge anybody listening now or who will hear this, you know, into the future. I challenge anybody, bring me the law that is in harmony with the American Constitution, 1791, that says that these corporations, because remember we also talking about union states, these corporations can make policies and procedures, call them law, that dictate the lives of the people. What happened to us that today we always look into a corporation to save us from our own ignorance? I mean, it's so clear to me that we as Moors, as a people on this continent, we all, when the brothers wake up from the sleepy-headed Moors, I don't think it should be wake up just you sleepy-headed Moors. You specifically need to wake up. But everybody needs to wake up because it appears as though everybody is in a fog. Islam?
Wow, that is true. You know, I just wanted to say two things here. When you mentioned, I'm just going back now. When you mentioned about dementia, and you said, yeah, Roz, I know what you're going to say. Listen, look at the word dementia. And if you've ever watched anyone who is transforming or passing away, as you would say, dying, as many say, they see things because they literally are in another dimension in their fleshy eyes and mind because they're going somewhere else. And so they will see people that you don't see, particularly and especially they often see people who have already passed form. So, you know, naturally people in this third dimension only will think, oh, they're crazy. They see Uncle so-and-so or Aunt so-and-so or Grandma so-and-so. But, you know, they really are having those connections with them. And sometimes the things that they're saying that they will transfer to you, the person who's passing, is what is being said, and it is a message for you from those people that have already passed. So when you start giving them that morphine because it's clear to, or it appears to be clear to most, well, they're dying, so just make it comfortable and give them this morphine. You just really, that's the sign for. Huh?
You're putting them to sleep. You're shortening their life.
You're definitely putting that out, and those experiences that they may be having in that other dimension, which they call dementia, because they don't get what's happening there. And, you know, they'll tell you to do that to make them comfortable, but if you ask them, are they comfortable, and they say they're not, because sometimes maybe people are suffering and in pain, but otherwise than that, when they get to that place, there is no pain. They're literally leaving this body, and they're going down that path, and they're seeing things, and you find so much out from that experience of what they want to call dementia. See, they put a tag on that. That's a natural process. So I wanted to mention that. And the other thing, getting back to this ID, when they say to like you knocked it out of the box when they're saying to like we'll go through it, but when they're giving this ID and you, the mother, is nowhere on it. Nationality isn't on anything that doesn't have nationality on it is already immediately eliminated mother, and that's what you're saying. They're assuming you are a fixture. They're assuming you are corporate, and now they're asking you as a desperate last act to put your child and it's on this card under their authority and jurisdiction. This is really wild. And some people, of course, think, oh, yeah, that's cool if my child gets lost. If your child gets lost, they're calling a state. And you don't know whether you're really going to see your child because they're the ones that are stealing the babies one way and or another. And here's something that will wake you up. If that occurs and supposedly your child is lost and it's returned to the state, well, you don't know whether it will be or not, but if it is, right, then they're going to put you and take the child from you anyway. Because, you know, they're going to charge you with negligence of your child because the child got lost. So that's a crock of crap over for them to even put that out there for you. And then the thing that gets me is you're not even on the card. That's your property. I mean, this is just another way for them to take children. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
You know, the other thing to question here, okay, now I just want to premise this with this case law. Tallahassee versus, they're not there to protect the people. They are there to protect corporations and arrest code breakers. The key in that statement is they are there to protect the corporation. So if the child is lost or missing, who is supposed to go and search for the child? And to whose benefit are these people searching for the child? Remember, it's exclusive there to protect corporations, not people. So that automatically they are setting it up to war against the mother. It's always a war against the mother because even if there is a mother and so-called father, which really, you know, she is the mother and the father, there is a son who is supposed to be about protecting the family, period. That's it. But if he thinks that he created something came from his testicles, and that's his seed and all this other foolishness, then a lot of the, you know, these corporations will use the lack of information against the people to put them into some sort of bondage. And say this to say, I said that to say this. The mother will always be the one that they hold accountable for the child, even though we got sons out there that think that child is their seed. It's not. It's the mother's child.
But this is true.
The mother. And this is just another way for them to take out mother so that they can claim the child. It's just like what they have been doing in Australia to our family up there.
Oh yes, but see that's but let's add too with that mindset that some of the sons may have. They'll come after her if she is conscious, and if you are not, because you think it's your child, they say, yeah, come on in, help us squash out mother. And now they got you, the father, in the grips of them, and that's when they'll start working their thing, you know, because it's just, you know, it's a lose-lose situation almost, even for those who say to these corporations, I'm talking about sons, to say to these corporations, you know, you don't have jurisdiction over me with this child support bullshit, you know, financial, human trafficking crap, and supposedly moral issue that doesn't belong with them, but with us and our sons. Even if they are successful at that, now they got to turn around because they think it's their child and and go back to that same court to get visitation. So, see, they don't realize they're being utilized because you got to go back to them to get visitation. So either you're going to go back to them and the parent that she has established for her child, which is the corporation, or if she is out of the picture, because you will make her out of the picture, because you will have to make her incompetent in order for you to take that position anyway, and they'll be glad to do that. They will be glad to help you, sons, make her incompetent. So it's a lose situation right there.
Exactly, and the reason they'll be glad to help mother incompetent is because they already know, and it's not a slight on many sons, but the son is not the nurturer. She's not the nurturer. They already know this. So it's going to be very easy for them to snatch the child from the son because he is not mother. He's not mother in any way, shape, or form. And this, if you haven't figured it out, this is a war against mother. That everybody is warring against mother, and they will use her son. We as a people, I don't even know how many more ways to say it. We really got to wake up, really and truly, because we keep on. Every day we see emails. We sometimes have conversations with people, and it's always the same. Mm-hmm. Our people continuously acquiesce to the policies and procedures of the United States of America government body. Mm. Now, who had done any studying, which the prophet is always saying, study, study, study. He said study, study, study 3 times. 3 times. Why did he say that one word 3? He didn't say national. If you don't do anything, nationalize, nationalize, nationalize. He didn't say it 3 times. I'm not saying it's not important, but why? What is the point of nationalizing if you ain't did no studying on your history? You don't even know how to stand on it. You don't even know what the damn paper says. You don't even know what it means. And it's not even saying that you got to have the paper. It's not that you have to have the paper, all right? Because nothing in law, in harmony with the American Constitution, 1791, says that you have to have some piece of paper from anybody to prove you are who you say you are. Nothing. Mm-hmm. But if you read the Constitution, it says that these people who hold themselves in public office, they must have all the credentials to identify themselves, and in addition to that identification, they got to be bonded so that they are held, bonded, bound to protect the people. That's their job. Their job is not to tell the people, oh, you can't do this, but you can do that. No, you can't do that. I don't care what it is. You can decide to hang yourself. I'm not saying you should do that, but if you decide to hang yourself, guess what? Can't no corporate employee, wannabe public servant come and tell you that you just broken the law because you want to hang yourself. What they just said is they your daddy or your mama, and you can't do jack shit unless you get permission from them. And the sad thing is we got a lot of Moors who are doing just that. No studying, nothing. Just going and signing up, sending their papers, ain't did no studying, don't even know who you're dealing with. It's like, you know, we got more thinking they're going to a county because they ain't did the research and the analogy on county, and we got more doing trust because they ain't did the research and analogy on trust. You know, and it's equivalent to going to the CEO of Walmart and saying, look here, can you look over my papers and give me permission to say I am so-and-so ill or so-and-so Bey?
Oh, my God.
And we don't study, and we really don't take our nationality serious, and we ain't got jack shit to do about preserving the future, the present and future generation. You got modern Europeans who take advantage of us at every turn. To the point where they're starting to tag the babies, literally tag the babies. You know what they're going to be doing next? I'm telling you right now, all these people running around here saying, I'm not going to be. They're giving you a card. In a couple of years, that card is going to be inserted because we insist on not studying and waking up.
Well, they can only do what we allow them to do. That's why we're having these conversations right now. Too many people think what you just said, that there's a law. Now, I just want to say, you just read the definition and the purpose of the policy enforcers or what they call policemen, which is a policy enforcer, not a law enforcer, a policy enforcer. Get it straight.
Exactly.
And all those.
It's described on their cruisers.
They don't hide it, but it's because we don't have knowledge. It's the suffering from lack of knowledge that it's about, and don't put it out there. And if we bite it, fine. Now they know, like this card. Let's put this out there. Let's see how many bite on this. You know what I mean? And if they do, fine. Now they can get a better idea of their numbers that they have in their of the people that will go along with the next thing that they do. You know, that's all they're really doing. For whatever reasons matters not, but that's really what they're doing. They're doing different things to see who's still in my numbers. You know what I mean? And where the people's head still is. But I wanted to say, when you said that the policy enforcers are not there, as by definition, what they call policemen, again, policy enforcers, they're there to protect the corporations. This is serious because the law of the land, I don't give a daggone what they set up. They can set up to circle 5 times every day around whatever they want to do, you know what I mean? But they can't infringe on the natural people's liberties and rights, even though they're doing what they're doing. That's the key here, because really, as a civilian and or as a public trustee or public official or whatever you are, nobody is to violate the law of the land, which is why Moors are, and the natural people and anybody need to enforce it against these setups that they have. So when it says a policeman is there to protect the corporations, it's like, wow, that doesn't mean what they're doing is lawful, but that means that, hello, didn't you wake up? That's what we're here for. Oh, you thought we heard you calling 911 for us to help you? Well, when we come to help you, all we're going to do is, like, everybody can, I know they can experience it. When you call us, all we're going to do, we might charge your ass for calling us tomorrow. You know, we're going to set that up. And all we're going to do is see what we can see with our fleshy eyes and whatever we can create that makes it so that, in fact, we'll charge you with something you will end up paying us. Because that's what they're about.
Yes, exactly.
That's common.
And exactly. And the other thing that they're showing you, because, and I know a lot of Moors have said this, if you go and you look now in some of these so-called, in these county records, you know, what you're going to find is that even recording on a county level for the people, it never had a cost. But the reason that now these county corporations have a cost is because, number one, they have been infiltrated, but that's not the majority. That's not the major reason why they have a cost. They have a cost because they figure if these Aboriginal indigenous people of this land are so unstudied and dumb enough to come to us to put some documents into our corporate record, well, we might as well charge them for their stupidity.
Well, good point there.
If you haven't done your research of this land, you will find that prior to 1664, there was never any counties on this land. And for example, a good example.
It was a title.
Well, here's the other thing. for for a lot of the people who doubt what I'm saying, Lord Baltimore came over to this land under the treaty between Morocco and Great Britain to engage in trade, and he opened a company called Baltimore Place. It's a company. But look at the mental conditioning that we all are suffering under and appear to refuse to let go of. I'm going to tell you right now, in 100 years, people going to be saying, where you going? Oh, I'm going to Walmart. Or you're going to see a sign that says, you are now entering Walmart. Established, 19-something and other. You watch. I bet you are now entering Verizon. And people are going to be going to Verizon to record their documents. So, I'm just letting them know they don't have jurisdiction over me. You know how stupid that sounds?
Yeah.
That's why they're charging us hundreds of dollars, because they're like, oh, these people are so dumb. They ain't done no studying. They don't know who the hell they are. They write in documents that say, you ain't got no jurisdiction, but then they come in through our doors, and their actions is saying, please don't take me out of your jurisdiction. We might as well charge them coming and going. And in the because the prophet said study,
that's only going to happen. That's only going to happen because we do not know that we're in the American land. That this is the American land, the United States. This is the biggest thing I'm finding out that we don't know, including myself. Many of us, that didn't know that the United States of America is not the American land. That the American land and American law is tied to the American land and the Aboriginal people. And anyone who comes in that's going to, be effectuated thereof by America. But the United States of America is a different entity. And it's right in the Constitution. So now, yes, it's right there. Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I was having a conversation, I think, who was I having a conversation with? I was having a conversation with somebody. And I was telling them, I think it was my daughter, and I was telling them, no, it was my sister. I was telling them, look, if you read Columbus' account, now they tell you in their institutions that they call school, they say, oh, Columbus discovered America. Well, if we are the Moors that we say we are, okay, because the history of anyone who identified themselves as a Moor meant that you knew law and you knew history, and you knew you were a merchant in some cases, but even if you wasn't, you understood the law of merchants. All right? You knew because you are a Moor. All right? Yeah. That means that when you step up to the plate and you say, I'm a Moor, that means you should have already done the studying of the little bit of information they gave you in these institutions regarding Columbus discovering America. Well, if you had done even a little bit of studying, you would have found that he landed on Haiti. Haiti is one piece of what used to be the Atlantis Island. All of the islands, North America, South America, and Central America, was called the Americas. All right? And there was people there and a government in full swing. You also have already known that Columbus didn't discover anything. And
right.
Haiti today, I don't care if it's Haiti, Jamaica, Trinidad, Puerto Rico, all of those is corporations. So if you're running around identifying yourself as a corporation, they are going to treat you as such. You know, it's interesting because in the Matrix it says you got to leave all of that nonsense behind. But our Moors don't want to put on their big drawers and let that sugar honey iced tea go.
But that's because of programming and stuff like that, and so then we're saying that then there's a need to deprogram, which is where study comes in at regarding the same. But you know, in a way, it's like people want, especially now, they want results. They realize something is really wrong, but putting in that mental study that it's not what most have been trained, indoctrinated, so-called educated, because education comes from within, not without. They didn't have the keys for that. So they're just like the King Alfred says, they know something's wrong, but how do I fix it? Now, what do? They speak on things that have nothing to do with their situation, like they want to go and talk to the policy enforcement corporations about what they're doing instead of first concentrating on who they are and being who they are, which will require some study, yes. And it's a conundrum almost in a way, but it is. But you know, it's just like some are going to fall by the wayside, some are not. You know, so it's like, what do? You just keep sharing information or whatever like that to try to, you know, wake up to wake up that pineal and wake up that third eye. But the things are so blatant, and you can study, research, or whatever you want to call it, to find that it's all so very true. Now what are you going to do? But bringing it back to this ID, which all of this is connected, no diggity, no doubt. Bringing it back to the ID, why they're doing this is because of our lack of knowledge and because of their intent to suck the bloodline or suck the blood, you know, really seriously, and to supplant themselves and to say that they are the true American Aboriginal indigenous when they're not, because they really don't have a home. So these corporations are, in fact, taking over. And it's funny because everybody says, yeah, corporations are taking over. Well, at the time, maybe people didn't know what that really, really meant. But upon, you know, review, you see that means that they're not government, they have no authority, and you need to kick them back to the curb themselves and let them stay in their place because, as you have said many times, that's the reason, one of the reasons why the Constitution was established, because when you think of the fact that one of the reasons is that they wanted to do commerce, because, you know, they couldn't feed themselves. They were nothing but plantation workers, for real, Slavic slaves. So by saying, all right, we'll let you sail freely, that's with the treaty, because originally they didn't sail freely. They came as indentured slaves. So we'll let you sail freely and you can do commerce. And you can learn how to plant and grow food and feed yourself and et cetera like that, you know, civilization principles. And so if we said, all right, you can do that, so that would be like so that they could do commerce, then we have to recognize that that's what they're still doing. And people do say, oh, they're doing commerce, so they're doing, well, we don't care that they're doing commerce because that's one of the reasons they're here. What are you doing? They're doing commerce, growing things on your ancestral estate as on this American land on Morocco. That's too much energy into that. And I will say this, and I'm just going to touch on this because I know we're going to spam this on Tuesday. We are definitely going to talk about the fact of what you kind of brought up a little bit about how people are going to counties and to states, and then third to the Department of State, which is the ultimate public notice, because that's the only person you have to put a public notice into, and that's notice to the principal therein is notice to the agent, which would be all these other things established under the state. So they're going there and actually, and it's cringing me, I'm going to put something up real quick. They're actually saying, here's my LODO identification, here's my affidavit of proclamation and declaration. Can you please put your great seal? Talking to a state, calling their seal a great seal. We finally we're slowly but surely getting these processes that these charlatans, or that these, even, some of them aren't even charlatans. We don't even want to give them that credit. For real. They're just plain out unstudied, fools who didn't study, leading other people into all types of processes. That's all they are. We got to look at one of them and we're like, what? You telling these people this is going to be used in the United States of America that doesn't exist as a land or a country or whatever? You are asking them to put their great seal when they don't have a great seal on your notary or documents? What? Is somebody actually leading the people to do craziness like that? You are, giving them a copy of what you have identified as an allodial document, an allodial ID, and then giving it to an inferior? What? And asking them to seal it? Are you crazy? I mean, we have lost our mind, but see, who do you blame for that? You go right back to the words that people hate to hear you say. If the person who's doing this had studied just a teeny little bit, they would know you don't do that. They would know this. And it's like, who will be leading the people into these types of things? Like, we never knew. We thought people were just doing a thing, but to find out that they actually don't know what the hell they're talking about. In other words, it's not really a surprise, because we always lean on the words of Prophet Nubujarale for his knowledge and his prophetic, the prophetics that he shared. And we realize that when he says some of your own will put you back in slavery, that's what we're looking at. Whether they realize they are or not, but we're going to break that down. Like, it is sinful to go to them. I mean, this letter is almost like begging them. And this is the form letter that one of these processes down in, was it Florida or Georgia? I mean, I'm just going to say, I don't know which one it is. I can't remember right now. Are actually saying, yes, send this letter, and you're telling them, thank you so much. Please, affix your great seal to my papers. I just thought I would die. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is what's going on out there? Like, really? So now, they're like, these are some stupid people. They're still unknowledgeable. Let's see how many we can grab. Go back to the ID. We're going to start from ground floor. And Sister Jayana, who's going to, who wrote this dissertation and did some research on this, it's like she was saying in it, and she can expand on it, that, and we need to be aware of this, that pretty soon, guess what, mothers? We all didn't want the birth certificate. Guess what? They're not going to use it anymore, but they will use this document, because this document is from birth, it's blatant, it's got, 3-month-old baby's picture on it and stuff, and it's got on the top the state, the corporate state. And then it does not have your appellation on it at all. Don't even say any semblance of who the mama is. They are blatantly saying, we are stripping you and your babies of their liberties, of their nationality, of their liberties, of their freedoms. They belong to us, and if we should find them because you lost them, no problem. It makes it easier for us to keep them. Thank you very much. That's it.
Yes,
that's all.
And they will redirect all of these finances from these other so-called social agencies to the so-called Department of Children and Family and Welfare. What is it? Department of Family Welfare bullshit.
Well, no, in different corporations they call it different things. Like in some corporations they call it DYFS, which is Department of Youth and Family Services, and then somewhere else they call it DCS or Department of Child Services. Yeah. All kinds of acronyms,
Exactly. All of these is designed to actually, these agencies, there's absolutely 1,000%. Listen to me when I say this, people. They are 1,000% unconstitutional because, number one, it is a corporation. Number two, the Constitution was written to protect all people from corporations. Period. Period. Do they? This is what, the prophet said, study. And it's like, Noble Drew Ali can come down and stand in front of people today and say, study, 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 and they still won't study because he's doing that in his words right now, and people are still not studying. Yet they want to say, well, I'm doing the prophet's work. How you doing? You're doing all of these processes, and you haven't studied a damn thing.
Yes.
He said, study, study, study. Why? Because he knew coming down the pipe, because it was going on before he passed form. And this is why he also said, read this letter at every function, temple meeting, so that you would know why you got to study. Because he knew coming down the pipe, don't be some Moors wearing turbans and feathers that was going to put you back in slavery. So do what? Study, study, study. Study. Because ain't nobody going to come and knock on your front door and say, here's your nationality and all of the historical references that you're going to need to stand on it. It ain't going to be on any media outlet. It's going to be where it is right now, written in books. And isn't it funny that these modern Europeans got a joke still standing? It's a still standing joke. If you want to hide something from the melanated people, put it in a book. Yes, it's still a standing joke because the melanated people still won't crack open the damn books and read so that they will know, so they will not be put back in slavery, even by some of their own wearing turbans and feathers. Islam.
On to that. Yes.
And with that, Sister Jayana on the line, so she can talk a little bit more about some of this information that she found, because it's a wonderful thing when we got a Moor who has been studying and can write a documentation, bringing information to the family. Because you know what? Everybody's supposed to be doing this. Everybody's supposed to be. So many things going on that we need. The prophet said that there is work enough for everybody. And there's so many issues that we need diligent Moors to go and research and write a report on and bring it to the family. What we don't need is Moors who just want to look at what another fellow Moor is already doing and then go out there and duplicate what's already been done when there is work enough for everyone.
That's right, but let me say this, but there's a qualification also to that, which means that we must all be in the same direction, and we're not in the same direction. And if it's not in the same direction, then it becomes a splintered thing, which is what we're experiencing right now. There's no true unity to it. When there's unity, everything vibes, the energy matches up. You don't need to guess. It all works. You know what I'm saying? But now the other thing about Sister Gianna, the way I see she speaks for herself, but from my view of it is that she is an example of a mother. Well, first of all, she has a young son, and she having this information already, she probably feels like we would think all mothers ought to feel. But with this knowledge that she has, she can take it to the level it belongs to, and that she's going to protect her child from being somebody's chattel property. And the compassion that you have, which is key, and that she has, to my knowledge, from what I know of her, is that, look, let me share this with you, sister, because this is really what's happening. And that's all that you can do, is share that and substantiate. Like, in other words, not only is she sharing it, she's right in with, in order to change the people, you got to change the literature. So look, same direction and developing to that point, because that's what it takes. And so not only is she doing it, she's substantiating it with facts, man. So like this is what the work that needs to be done, and it must be done from that position. that position, her time, her energy from that position of compassion and service to men. So I wanted to say all that before we brought her on, because that's exactly what she's exemplifying right here, and that's exactly in the same energy that we think we're in, and that's exactly the same energy that we all need to be in, so that we can take this one wave of energy. If we all were thinking in this manner, this would be over with overnight. Simple. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is she on the line? Sister Jayan?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Thank you so much. Islam, thank you, Anna E., for inviting me. And thank you so much, Sister Roz Mariah, for that beautiful interest. Thank you. But so when you guys were talking, I was taking some notes, and Roz, you had said something about they did like a desperate last resort in making these IDs, and what came to my mind was that they did do this as a last resort because so many people are waking up that by the time our children at this age become of age where they normally would get an ID or they normally would get a driver's license, they knew that it was no way they were going to be given some IDs at that age because they would already be informed.
Right.
So so that is like the last resort because they like, well, we got to get them right now because if we wait till it's time for them to get driver's license ID, they ain't gonna get them because they will already know. So they had to get them really right now because this is the last time, and of course their time is almost up. So, well, but also it's past up. It's past up. It's just holding on because the people are allowing them to hold on. You know what I mean? So they grabbing every little juice they can squeeze up out of whoever they can get. And that's unfortunate to the mothers that's they got their mind somewhere else. And so also another note I took, Annie, you was talking about children getting lost and about the police, people calling the police to find their children. And what came to me is the story when Jesus had got lost and Mary and Joseph went looking for him. You know what I mean? And they didn't call somebody. They went looking for him. And of course, you know how you talk about the dad, the male, the sons just being the protector and really getting out there and doing their job and not trying to do mother job, but doing their job. And so he wasn't tripping. He wasn't supposed to. You know what I mean? He knew that was Mary's child, but also he knew he had a job to do. So it was Mary and Joseph and I think another male out there looking for the baby. They didn't call anybody. Yeah. You know what I mean? So people should start thinking about stuff like that. And one last thing before I actually really get into my article, because Roz made such a grand interest right now for me. And just this is a quote or should I say quote from, of course, the Circle 7. Anybody who knows me knows I'm always in the Circle 7. And
you brought mistress to us, sister. We'll never forget that when you brought mistress.
I'm always in the Circle 7, and this is the duty of man and wife, I want to say, but I think it's man and wife or instructions for man and wife. But it's this number 18. The care of her family is her whole delight. To that alone she applied her study. So with that is why I'm looking up stuff, because the care of my family, which is my son, is all of that is my whole delight, and that alone is where I apply my study. So that's where I go as far as my study. So that's where that came.
Thanks for bringing that in. Damn, that's awesome.
So that's what we really should be looking at as far as mothers, as far as where our head should be at, as far as what should we be studying. You know what I mean? What should you really be studying? That's a big question. Everybody goes, what should I study? So if you're a mother, then you already should know where you should be studying. It should be towards the family. But So let's get up in this ID. The real did you ever get the full copy?
I did, and I'm actually,
okay,
you know
great.
what? No,
okay.
I won't say I'm editing it. I'm just finishing it, and I apologize for that. There's a lot that was going on, and I wanted to have it posted up to before this show, but it will be up today. So in a way that you're discussing it, and then by the end of this day, it'll be up for the people to read because you went in with some statistics. I mean, my mind was, it wasn't much to edit because you already laid it out, really. But I was just, restructuring it and putting the pictures there where they, applicable. And, like you went in with, look, another thing on this card, they're asking for you to determine what your child donor to be a donor at 3 months old. So
that's right. That's right.
You tied that up. You tied that up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's get into that. So before to get into that, I wanted to talk about how they have customer number and license number.
Yes.
And I put in the definition from the Black Law Dictionary. A customer is one who regularly or repeatedly makes purchase and has business dealing with a tradesman at business house. And, of course, we know the baby. I mean, why would that be on the baby identification card? You know what I mean? That's another thing. And a license, a certificate or document itself, which you give permission. So
could you do us a favor? Could you just, again, repeat that? You're saying that they have a customer number and sometimes a DL number, which is a driver's license number is a customer number, by the way, right?
Yes.
You're saying they have that on the infant ID. Can you, again, say what that means in terms of the definition of what a customer number is and then expand on why the heck would they have that on your child? Could you get the definition of customer again?
Yeah. Customer, one who regularly or repeatedly makes purchase of or has business dealing with a tradesman or business house. Wow. And also I put in the definition of custom, right? Because and this term is usually applied to those taxes which are payable upon goods and merchandise imported or exported. So I'm just like, the question that asks is, does your child have business dealing with a tradesman or a business house? And then there's something that people should look up. What is the business house? License, certificate of document itself, which you give permission. And with that, actually, they were asking you to apply for this. So you wasn't asking for permission for anything. So what is that about? Because, And I also, so when they're asking for permission, what is the permission for, and what do they have a license number or customer number on your child identification card? Is this his identity, right? It sounds more like identity theft, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
you know what? Let me interject here because you just brought in that word identity theft, because what's happening now with the increase of Moors, declaring their status and having their own allodial identification, of which they have a right to establish and must be respected, they're now they're now telling Moors that they charging them with identity theft, and that's another desperate act, because the only identity thieves are them by doing by putting. Right, by the birth certificate and or by this ID right here. They're stealing identity, so it's a simplistic thing. It's like, well, whose identity did I steal? Bring that person forth,
And about the donor, they asking for the donor information on the ID for the little babies,
Wow.
And what I put in there, and I'm just going to read it straight out.
Sure.
What I put in there is about how they were asking for the like if the child's going to be a donor or not, and why would they ask for if a baby's going to be a donor, and why are they worried about their body parts at that age. And so when I did some research, I found that the flesh is a big money-making industry, and they're actually selling a lot of body parts. And, I mean, I know it may creep people out, but this is the truth. This is real thing. And also about the melanin in the skin, how it goes higher for the melanated people.
Mm-hmm.
And
of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's, you know
okay,
what?
so
that is absolutely correct. And I experienced that just recently with the passing of my father's wife. She's heavily melanated. And she was also a nurse in that institution. And when they told her that they were going to bring her to their hospital, she immediately screamed no. And I can tell you, every nurse since that I have said that to, every last one of them said the same thing. They said that's because she knew what they were going to do. Now, they will say that. Most people will miss it. But I know what they were saying. And you will notice that it takes them longer. Their intent is to kill the Asiatic being. It takes them longer to kill a heavily melanated being than a lighter complexion being. It took almost 2.5 weeks to kill her. And because my family was so indoctrinated and really thought that they were helping her when it was so obvious to me that they were not helping her. But my family thought that they were helping her, and they sat there oblivious to the fact that they were slowly murdering her right under their noses. And if you think that these beings are going to have any kind of compassion or sympathy for a heavily melanated newborn baby, think again.
Because that source, like you're saying, that melanin is the source, man. Without that, I mean, they're making melanoma cream, and all kinds of things with that for their supposed salvation. They could give a dag.
Yeah, and if you think about it, when you're in the hospitals, they're doing many experiments right after you have your baby. And I remember after I had my baby, a lot of times they always want to keep the baby for a while, and they use the thing like, well, once you leave here, you're going to have the baby alive, so the baby can spend the night with us, in our little room. And I'm like, and at first I'm like, nah, my baby can spend the night right here with me in this room. Like, you sure? Because once you leave here, you're going to have to. I'm like, I'm sure he can spend the night right here, because what they're trying to do is take the baby out there so they can do so many experiments all night on the dang on baby. And we still do. I know they, they still do it, but it's just crazy. It's just craziness.
Yeah,
but
and their intent also is to break the connection that the mother is going to have with the baby.
Yeah, and I remember, and it just was. Say it again.
I just said yeah.
Yeah, I was saying it's just fortunate. I mean, I'm just thankful that I knew what I knew when I had my baby, because you're so right as far as breaking the connection. Because a lot of people now in the hospitals, my mother said back in the day they used to encourage, to breastfeed, but now they're doing the opposite of that. They like, yeah, you might as well just give a bottle because it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt if you breastfeed and stuff like that. And I remember that. Yeah, I was like, no, I'm just gonna breastfeed, and I did. I breastfed, and I just wanna make a comment because it just came to my heart that a lot of times when women have children, they're going through a big emotional thing, and we do, and they put they think about a lot of their future instead of what's right there present, and so sometimes it causes us to make decisions based on that and not really focus on the present. And I just know that me, when I had my son, I really didn't care about the future. I was just really focused on what was in front of me. And so I did, I quit all my jobs because I like to work, but I always had a lot of jobs. So I had a lot of jobs. I quit all my jobs, and I just, wanted to stay home. And I didn't have no money. I'm not going to lie. I was just broke, dead broke. I just went to stay back with my dad. And I did not care about any pride because the fact of the matter is I just knew that I wanted to be there to be able to breastfeed. And with that, I'm telling you, the universe take care of mother. But the fact is, we don't have to worry about all of those stuff like, I got to get a job, I got to make sure. You don't have to worry, but just worry about your job, and then the universe will take care of everything else. And I just wanted to put that out there. Maybe somebody needed to hear that.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful because that's not what's put out. And then also, then you're also talking family again. You know what I'm saying? Because, and Ida said this many times, and we all know that, you had a family and the elders were always there. Like you said, with your father. Right. Grandma, grandpa. Yeah. Right. And so
everybody should be there. And that's the sad situation that a lot of mothers now, as soon as their baby get pregnant, they're like, oh yeah, she gotta go. And I'm like, what? That should be the time where I'm not, I won't just say my father, but I'm gonna give it to all my babies since I'm the oldest of 5. They were all there for my support, all 5 of them. And I love them all for that. All of them. And my mother, everybody was there for this baby. And everybody was excited. So, but we don't have that a lot. I see a lot of people are really going through, and that's why anytime I see young mothers, I always try to make sure before they leave my presence, they're smiling because it's just a beautiful thing. And I'm just going to put one more thing out there. Another thing that women should read out of the Circle 7. Look, I'm always in the Circle 7. It's the Book of Misery, because what you'll find is Prophet Noble Jurali, he was talking to the mother. And he was talking to all of us but he was definitely talking to the mother. And everybody, all the young mothers and all the older mothers should read the Book of Misery, the Instructions for Misery, because that breaks down bringing in of the children and how it should be respected and how mothers should be praised. It talks about all of that in the Holy Instruction for Misery.
Well, we're going to go through that, but you know what? I want to say that when you said about the importance of the mother, being a mother, nurturing her child, and the family being, family unit staying together with the elders, that is so important. But now out of the Book of Knowledge collection, I put in the front of the She Redeems book. It's called, and I'm going to read it right now. It's called Will the Children Rule the World? Now, we all know that the first schoolroom is the womb and the nurturing process after being born, which includes the breastfeeding and that whole bond and the raising of the child. Now, will the children rule the world? ? And it says all individuals are mortal, and the destiny, this is what I have in the book of collection now, and the destiny of the world, the ruling and the being ruled, is all in the hands of the children. Those who rule today were the children of yesterday and will be stuck tomorrow. That is the law of human life. It means, listen closely, that a mother is the holiest thing alive, that history is made in the nursery, that the bringing up of children is the noblest, the purest, and the most necessary work in the world, and the most difficult, just because the human being is so wonderful and complicated in the nature of his mind and his body. Collection, from the Book of Knowledge collection. So this is what you're discussing, and when you said that just be and do what your duty is as a mother, and the universe will take care of you. You are so right. That's stepping out when people are stepping out on faith. But you can only step out you can only have faith in what you know. So now we go back to something from a lack of knowledge. If we had knowledge, then, we would be able to do that. And when you walk down that path, the universe, and that right path, the universe will meet you on that path, but they're not going to meet you on some other path. You know what I'm saying? It's
right.
Now, what chapter is misery? I'm looking through here.
It's at the end. It's right before it gets to where he starts talking about the it's the very end. It's the end.
Oh, it is.
It's right before he starts talking about everything.
It actually is the last of those holy instructions.
Yeah, the last of the holy instruction. Yep, it's the last one.
Exactly. So let's take a look at that, because we got to set the spirit of the of
yeah,
law.
let's look at it right here. I got it right here. We can look at that. I got it right here. It's right on my screen. And say, yeah, let's look at that. Go.
Well, now let me say this before because we're gonna read this. Maybe we'll read it together. You'll read part, we'll read part. Because the first thing that these types of instructions do, it gives you the parallels. It gives you the situation you can find yourself in, and then near the end, it gives the latter part gives you the answer. It's almost like asking the question and getting the answer. So it presents the problem.
Yes.
Right, and that's what people need to know, that when they start reading these things, is that it is actually speaking to the what you recognize, to the problems that women would have, or mothers would have, or the people would have, depending on which chapter you're reading, and then it hits you with the answer to uplift to that. So if you want to,
that's how you read them. Yeah.
Huh?
No, I was saying yes. That's how it's supposed to be read, because you're right. Some people get kind of confused with it.
Yes, they do, because they're reading it and they're not relating, but it's going to give you the answer to fix the situation. But first you got to acknowledge the situation first. So it's like an oracle, really it is. So since you already read it and it's your thing, and you can go through it, you can go through it and accentuate what you say. You should do the honors of reading it.
Well, I'm gonna just jump through it. Of some of my favorite points.
You read it themselves.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to number 4. You see number 4?
Yes, I do.
All right. Could you read it for me?
Sure.
All right.
Thine entrance into the world is it not shameful? Thy destruction, is it not glorious? Lo, men adorn the instruments of death with gold and gems, and wear them above their garments.
Right. So, you go to 5. Go to 5, and just read 5, and then I'm gonna break it down.
Yeah, because I understand that one right away. He who begetteth a man hideth his face, but he who killeth 1,000 is honored.
Right. So number 4 is speaking of, remember, it's giving you the problem, right? So the problem is this: thine own entrance into the world is not shameful. So it's asking the question as if what it's saying is, and then say thy destruction is not glorious. So it's saying that these things are mixed up. It's backwards. You get that? That means that we are looking at things that destruction glorious is about it, but yet when we enter into the world, we're acting as if it's something shameful. You know what I mean?
So you mean the birth? You mean the birth of the child coming into the world?
Thine entrance into the world is not shameful. Thine destruction is not glorious. Right? So it's saying that we who act in destruction in destruction is acting as if it's something that is cool, that's glorious or something. But yet when we bring life into the world, we acting as if it's something is shameful, right? So we got it backwards. So
wow.
Right. So it say, "Lo, man adore the instrument of death," right? So and he wear it with golden glimpse, right? So wear it with golden glimpse above their garments. So that's what it's saying, that he's wearing that. Like if somebody just murders somebody, I'm just saying murder. But this isn't. When we read these are not just speaking like literally. But I'm just giving this example. But it could be death or just anything destruction, and they wear it as if beautiful. You know what I mean?
They glorify that. They glorify that portion with with gems, gold, and where, right, but they look at the entrance into the world as something shameful. And you know, you're right, because you just said, like, entrance into the world with birth. Oh, it's labor. Oh, no, you don't want to breastfeed. Oh, no. Now, check this out, Carl. Number 6. No.
Five. Wait, five. Remember, wait, 5, because he said, he who begetteth a man, right? That means bring forth a man, hide his face, right? Don't most of the girls, she come pregnant, she's all hiding her face and just like, oh, yeah, I'm pregnant, you know. But he who killed 1,000 is honored. Is that not backwards? Okay, go break 6 down for us, Ms.
Yes, 6
go ahead.
Know thou, notwithstanding, that in this is error.
It's error. There you go.
Let's check out the next one. This is like really, you got, like you said, you got to really understand this, the reverse. Custom cannot alter the nature of truth. Neither can the opinion of man destroy justice. The glory and the shame are misplaced. Oh, my goodness. This is hot right here.
There it goes. So that's what he's talking about. That 6 broke everything 4 or 5 down and said what it was saying. Exactly. So everything is misplaced right now. This world, we all backwards right now. You know what I mean? We got to get in order.
Well, check this one out. I like this one. There's 7. There is but one way for a man to be produced. That's through the womb. Yes, indeed. However, there are 1,000 ways by which he can be destroyed.
That's right.
There it is.
And then look, there is no praise or honor to him who giveth being to another.
Exactly. But triumphs and empire are the rewards of murder. In other words, what are they saying? They're saying you mothers, and the fact that you're giving life, it seems like there's no praise for that at all. But there's all this triumph over murder. We see it every day. It's programs on the program tube. It's all over. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why I say, you know, we're not going to read the whole thing. We're going to let the family.
No, wait a minute. Hold on. We're going to
you want to? Go ahead.
Hold on. I got to go to 9. Come on now. 9 says,
all right, go ahead.
Yet he who has many children has many blessings. Now, you know that we come from where we had many children. The older sister was always the surrogate, well, not surrogate, but kind of for the mother in the family. She was the one who helped raise the rest. Come on now.
Yes,
Yes. Yet he who has many children have many blessings. Remember that, sisters. Don't let them tell you need to give birth to stuff because you don't need to have children. No. He who has many children have many blessings, and he who has taken away the life of another shall not enjoy his own.
And so, right. And so another thing, like you said, like speaking to the women again, so especially the young women, when they out here and they doing things unconsciously and doing things, but even though, remember, nothing is by mistake. So when you out here and something happened, and then, you know, you got the guy, some of them saying, you know, just go get an abortion and stuff like that. Don't do that. You better not do that. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Because he who take the life of another shall not enjoy his own. And it's nothing is a mistake. Everything is governed by law. Everything. So.
But let's give answer to the sisters who came up in that era where, you know, you have an abortion, you're too young, you're in school. All you have to do is, once you recognize this, is ask for forgiveness to the universe and to that child soul that you may have aborted, and that will begin your journey towards repair. It really
that's
will
right.
be a lot.
Yes.
That's all you got to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the answer.
It was so shameful, you know, like, you know what I mean, like that. But check this out. So they start getting into some of the hit you hard with remedies. And 11, it says, the greatest of all human ills is sorrow. Too much of this, though, art born into, add not unto it by thy own perverseness. Your sorrow comes from your own perverted senses of really lack of knowledge, if you ask me. That's what he's saying. Look, you feeling sorrowful? It's from your own action.
Yeah, that's right.
And the first is that too much of this that you are born into. You know, that's why, like you said, I got to be a mother. I'm bringing a child in. I have to not bring that child in and remove as much sorrow as possible. You know, this is why it's such an important duty. You know what I'm saying? And now it says, grief is natural to thee, and it's always about thee. Pleasure is a stranger, and it visit thee by time. Use well thy reason, and sorrow will be cast behind thee. Be prudent, and the visits of joy shall remain long with thee. Every part of thy frame, yes, it is capable of sorrow, but few and narrow are the paths that lead to this delight. Pleasures can be admitted only simply, but pains, they rush in 1,000 at a time. As the blaze of straw fadeth as soon as it is kindled, so passes away the brightness of joy. That's true. Come on. Look, you could be having a good day, you feeling really good, and one thing can kill your joy.
Yeah. And then who thought is that, though? This is what it's talking about. Who thought is that? We have to learn how to control our own mind, right? Because if something can snap us like that, and then we just like, all mad, we have to control.
It says here on the end of that, it says, and thou then knowest not what became of it, like what happened to it type thing.
Right,
you know?
right, because you lost control.
That's right. Sorrow is frequent, pleasure is rare, pain cometh of itself, delight must be purchased, grief is unmixed, but joy wanteth not its alloy of bitterness. Joy can't rest in bitterness, is what he's saying. Now, it's really getting right into it. As the soundest health is less perceived than the lightest melody, so the highest joy touches us less deep than the smallest sorrow.
Well,
we are in love with... Go ahead.
I like that. That's why I got excited. Right, so it's saying that so the highest joy touches us less deep than the smallest sorrow. So it's saying this, that even though it'll be the highest joy, we don't even allow it to really sink in. And then the smallest sorrow, we will be like so down over the, edge for that. You know what I mean? We will really go, we allow ourselves to fall deep into that mindset of being sad. You know how some people just always are being that instead of really rejoicing at the time that you need to rejoice and actually holding tight to that.
Right.
Because, look, we are in love with anguish.
Exactly. That's what it says. So it reminds me of saying, don't let nobody steal your joy, right? Okay?
Yeah.
T-shirt, do not steal my joy. Now he says, we are in love. Okay, I did that. We are in love with anguish. We often fly from pleasure. Oh, no. It's back again. We are in love with anguish. We often fly from pleasure. When we purchase it, cost it not more than it is worth. See, we think we can purchase happiness. Go ahead. No, you can't. Money don't buy the joy. There it is. Then it says, reflection is the business of man. Now, everybody hears me say that all the time because I teach astrology, and I am very aware that it indicates the attributes and conditions of man, of all of us. It's in nature, and that all of the signs, really, you just look at 6, and the other 6 are really the polar reflection of the first 6. You know what I mean? Because the first 6 is how you deals with the personal development of self, and it's always the personal houses, which are the ones where you're at home with your mother being raised, and whatever was instilled during those times and in those houses, then that is a reflection in the social, which starts in house 7, which is Libra, which is where you start uniting either with partners, be it business, sexual, marriage, or whatever it may be. So the whole thing is the building of the being that the mother puts into society is based on that first 6, and the other 6 is definitely reflection. So here we go.
That's right.
Number 19, reflection is the business of man. Sense of his state is his first duty, but who remembereth himself as a boy? Is it not in mercy, then, that sorrow is allotted unto us? This is some heavy right here, because fit. Everybody talks about, well, it's because of the child life that the person is a mass murderer or whatever the heck it is. This is this is so true in the fact of reflection, as I have expressed it with raising of a child. You know what I mean? If you like the house 4 is the house of, or house 1 is the house of self. You know, I'm here, Aries, self, here I am, right? But then on that cardinal point of 4 is the house of self-origins, which is, that house is subjective. You are subjected to the origins. You are subjected to the home life that you have, which would be your self-origins in the respect of being here mundanely and physically. So that house belongs to mother. And 10 is the opposite house of 4. 4 being Cancer, the mother, the breastfeeding, and then 10 being Capricorn, law, order, and discipline principles, right? And they attest that to the father because, remember, it's above and below, so it's the mother-father connection. That's the reflection. So in essence, what I'm saying is how you were brought up in your home is a direct reflection on your self-origins, is a direct reflection on how others see yourself, which is house 10, the social house, the high point of social house. So that's what is meant. When you say, well, didn't your mama teach you anything? Like, if you got a child that doesn't know how to say thank you and please, I guarantee it's because they were never taught it. They were not taught to say it. Because if they were taught to say it, it would be reflected in their social behaviors to say it. You see what I'm saying? And this is why it's so important. Yes.
Yeah, and that reminds me of when people go and say, and you hear people say, well, I don't know what's wrong with that child. I don't know what's wrong with my child. You know what's wrong with your child. You raised a child. You know what I mean? You know what's wrong with him. What? I mean, I'm just saying. You know, how could you say, I don't know. I don't know why he act like that. Well, what? Did you raise him to act like that? That's why he acts like that. It's just that simple.
So back to reflection is man's business. Now, for those who feel they're disconnected or off on their own or want to blame, their mama or blame their home life, guess what? Your business is about reflecting. You have the duty of reflecting on yourself now and seeing those things and knowing those things that happen to you. And like you said, Mama, you know, too, you just might not want to admit it or you wanted something more because we kind of covered our children, which we should to some extent. But so man's business is about reflection, so there's no excuse for you. And if you want to know the answer to fixing it, just use the art of reflection. That's it, and that's all. That's why it says man's business is about reflection. Now, next, there's only 3 more cards. We're going to do this.
Look. Also, that is why the prophet said, I gave you enough to save a nation, now go out and save yourself.
Save yourself.
This is all about you finding yourself, and everything that one experiences is about you knowing yourself. And the one major tool we all have to do that is the astrology wheel, which is why we ought to know the science of the Moor if we're calling ourselves Moor.
Right. And I didn't mean to say but, I meant to say and that would be done by the art of reflection. It's awesome. It's just awesome. And for mothers who don't have children yet, if they understood the astrology wheel and this art of reflection, that everything that's done in the first 6 houses, as we're going to call it, which is the personal houses of your child, and the first 3, Aries, Taurus, Cancer, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, is their personal independence, you know what I mean? They got 10 fingers, 10 toes, what they got, you know what I mean? They got, are they able to communicate? Do they have problems doing that? Those are the first 3, that's the first 3 degrees, self, and possessions, and ability to communicate, period, or lack thereof. That's it, that's first 3 degrees, personal independence. Your child may be born with 1 arm, I'm not wishing that on anybody, but, or not able to speak or whatever. That's the check on that. Then there's the 3 personal subjected houses, which they're subjected to, which is definitely their mother's home or their home life, where they're brought up in, be it foster home, be it, however it may be, So now when you look at those things, then you can even as an adult go right back to reflecting, see what it is. Don't bitch and moan about it, but don't woe is me about it, but look at it and begin reflecting to repair it because that's your business. That's man's business. Yes, indeed. So now it says here. Go ahead.
No. But I just wanted to give us. We got like 17 minutes left to the show. Actually, we have 17 minutes left to the live internet feed. And so what we're going to do is we're going to let you finish this thought, and then we got a couple of callers, and then we're going to end out the show, because really this broadcast and even the past and the future broadcasts, these are for people to listen to over and over, because when you listen to these little nuggets, it's going to cause you to turn things over in your head, and it's going to result in you connecting dots, and that connecting of dots is going to wake up other portions of your brain. And that's what it's all about. The prophet said, if I can just get you think, you free yourself.
So, listen, so you're right. And again, man's business is about reflection. And there's only 3 stars, and this is where he gives the answer to the situation. So it says, man perceiveth the evil that is to come. He remembereth it when it is past. He considereth not that the thought of affliction woundeth deeper than the affliction itself. Oh, my gosh, I just got to say. So you in a household and you got violence and stuff going on. The thought of the violence for the child is deeper than the violence itself. Now, that's right. Think not of thy own pain, but when it is upon thee, and thou shalt avoid what most hurt thee. All right? That's your duties. He who weepeth before he need. Oh, Lord, I mean, those are the complainers, they weeping about what they don't have, what they want to do. They're the weepers before he even need to weep. Weepeth more than he who actually needs. And why? But that he loveth weeping. That's what people say, stop moaning. Stop being brooding all the time. Stop being a little spoiled brat. This is it right here. Right here. So I'm glad you brought this out, because it's dealing with what we have to instill in the child. All right, you got grown child still out there, grown up still weeping and moaning about something in it that oh man, it's just spoiled. So look, last 2. I gotta read that one again. He who weepeth before he needs, weepeth more than he who actually needs. And why? But that he simply loves weeping. That's the whips. He or she, of course, he used it. Now, the stag weepeth not till the spear is lifted against him, nor do the tears of the beaver fall till the hound is ready to seize him. And he'll never give up, right? Man anticipates death by the apprehension of it, and the fear is greater misery than the event itself. Last line. Be always prepared to give an account of thine actions. And the best death is that which is least premeditated. Like you said in the beginning, we think too much of death and do not honor life. Islam.
All right. Well, with that, what we're going to do is we have a caller, and we're going to take that call. We got like 13 minutes left. And then we're going to close out the show. Make sure and check us out on Tuesday, the Principles of Nationality in Action at 9:30 p.m. And next month, November, I believe it's 15, we will, in fact, go over, it is. It's November 15th. We will begin our analysis of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. So I would suggest you start looking it over now, and we will have the syllabus up shortly. Well, hopefully this week, so that everybody can be.
Are you going to have questions like we did with the other documents?
We're going to have definitions.
We're going to have questions. All right, for comprehensive reading of the treaty. But can I say this? The reason why we're doing the treaty, it's all tied in, because you have these foreign corporations that are, telling you what you can do. Now, the Pope just came and told them they were immigrants, so it's definitely time for Moors to stand up, the Aboriginal Indigenous people, really. And so they have devised all of these instruments, and this ID is one of them, for the purposes of keeping you under their jurisdiction, just as simple as that, which has no, which is a corporation. Therefore, it doesn't. There's no rights to be denied in that status. So we are going back to the treaty because this thing is because that's the first thing that happened to allow them to sail over here under the guise of being somewhat free as opposed to coming over as slaves. So that is why they pour in now, because they want something better for their children than being slaves in America, all right? So we have to be real clear about that we're enforcing, and it starts with the treaty. That's why the definition of America says the true Americans are the various copper-colored people, which means it excludes them. They're not that. They are not that. So we want to go to that to kind of begin to why first it was the treaty to allow them to sail freely with a banner, which is the Star-Spangled Banner. It is not a flag, and they fooled us by saying it's the flag of this nation when it's not. And then from there we said, okay, now here's the law of the land while you're here, of which both are being violated. So if we're saying that we all need to enforce the law, then we have to know the law. So that's why it's important. Islam.
Yes, Islam. All right, so we're going to take our first call, and I guess first and last caller, Islam. Caller 412-969. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maxim.
Islam, this is Sister Energy. Northwest Maxim from Vicksburg Corporation. Appreciate your sisters doing what y'all do.
Maxim.
Say that again?
I said you're at Northwest Maxim. Vicksburg is a corporation.
Yeah, that's exactly what I stated.
Yes. You can continue.
Like I said, I didn't know I had put myself in the queue, but I appreciate the work that you sisters do and the fact that I know that I got cognizant and conscious family out there that allows me not to feel that I'm alone in this here standing on who and what I am. And I appreciate the work that the young lady had, the other young sister put out there, to share with the family. A lot of mothers need to hear this type of thing. I'm just, as her, fortunate to just been aware or cognizant, or it's just in me to not fall for the tricks. I recently had my fourth son last October. And one of the things I found really funny, having knowledge of what's going on and how they're trying to play the game, every day that we were there, they had a C-section, and we were there for 3+ days. And every day they asked, you got a name for him yet? No. Got no name. I mean, they were constantly insisting on trying to get a name. They didn't have anything to put down in their records to describe the so-called product that they're trying to claim. See, that was the way I got around it,
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Tiffany, because that would be a real simplistic way. Nope, in my culture, I don't name the child.
Yeah,
I don't name the child, and we definitely, because really, and it's true, we waited to the child to tell us who they were and their spirit and their actions, and so that's called exercising your religious freedom. That's what that's called mother wit. Yeah, well, that too, but I'm saying that's why in law and the protection of same, it's like you declare your status, your nationality, and your religion. That's why he added that to let us know. So that will come under that. So we can very easily, the only reason why people don't do what you just did is because you knew, but they didn't know, and they think they have to, So now what do they got? A bond that says Jane Doe? Hey. Whatever they want to do with it, they're going to make a bond if they want to anyway. So,
because I found that very funny where we were domiciling at. When I did have him, there was something that came through their postal service, and I didn't open it. I could recognize the printed document on the inside, and I returned the sender because it wasn't something that I knew was valid to my situation. But I really appreciate hearing another sister out there who was able to, not sign her child over to the state. That's a beautiful thing. And you're right, most of us are out here with the whole I didn't know or how can you do that? And that's one of the things that I find myself in a conversation with when I say that he has no birth certificate or Social Security number. It's like a shock to people when they hear that. And it's like, no, that's just programs I didn't wish to sign up for. He doesn't need it. It's not necessary. And not to mention the detriment that it brings. Why would I do that? It makes no sense to me. But it don't make sense to me because I have studied. So, there you go. So I was appreciative. And then also the point that sisters was speaking on about how they utilize the son to make mother appear to be incompetent. And that's how I met or came across you, Roz, dealing with my daughter from a year or so back, and how it all came down for me and her biological, i.e. now knowing my son, but nonetheless, that's how it was done there. I mean, this was a person who himself had a overseer. His sister was a power of attorney for him, and yet you, the so-called court system, found it necessary to put the custody of my daughter with him, whom never raised none of his children himself at all, nor raised them, i.e. been around them at all. She had been on this planet for 7 years and hadn't spent any time around her, but yet they found it necessary to put her in his care. And nonetheless, the whole ordeal, because I was saying, they were attacking mother. I'm very clear on that.
No, that's not what I was going to say. Of course they're attacking mother because they're stealing the children, trying to get them under the jurisdiction. But that is because therefore with those efforts they have to find someone who's in line with their program. So if it's not you, right. See what I'm saying?
He was totally oblivious to everything.
They would be glad to assign as power attorney or whatever it is to another sister who's not conscious, because through her, be it the grandmother or through him being the so-called father, they can effectuate their end, because they have to eliminate mother and the nature of mother, as we have been discussing on this show. They have to eliminate that, and this ID boldly says so. Like, wow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I found that funny, too, when we were there, because the little bracelet thing that they desired to put on him. Let me just walk you through it real quick. I hate to take up too much time, but anyway, having him, because this will be the third time that they have put me under their knife. Nonetheless, moving forward, I had my sister, who is also aware of who and what she is. She was in the operating room with us, and her job was to stay with the baby, and she did that 100%. I loved it. They were trying to get her to go out the room once he was out of the body and everything that they said to her. And she would hear him out, never interrupt once, and then she would come back. My job was to stay with the baby. I stay with the baby. They never put anything in him, on him. They never cut his skin to find out blood type, nothing like that. When I went in to have him, I was supposed to do it at 11 a.m. It took them till 1 o'clock to decide to go ahead and do it, because they were attempting to get me to sign registration form? No. Yeah. I mean, I'm clear on what a registration is, and not to mention the fact down on this document itself, it says you sign this once, it's good for an entire year under all your facilities. So exactly why would I sign this again? But moving forward, I'm not signing this. And we did all this whole dance. While I'm there, they're just trying to get certain things from me, and they said, well, their legal team will talk to me tomorrow, because I did this on a Sunday. So Monday came, Tuesday came, Wednesday came, left Thursday. I never seen legal. And the way I seen it is if they relayed anything that they experienced with me, with their legal team, they knew they had no legal leg to stand on, so there was no need to try to come and talk to me about anything. So I appreciate just having been given the opportunity to start learning what's going on around me, because, yes, you do get here as little people and realize something's not right. And then you get out here and you have our youth out here today, and they know something's not right. And we Moors who know we're Moors, who are studied, need to get out here and definitely reach the youth, because the movement is definitely in their hands. And they come of age, and most of them have been signed over by their mothers unwittingly, unknowingly, and it's their job and it's their responsibility to get themselves out there and proclaim their nationality and reclaim their birthright.
But
they first need to be told.
Let me say this. Hold on. I want to interject with you for 1 second. When you said most of them have been signed over by their mothers, now we have to go into what is the validity of that. Like it's not a contract. So now we have to.
This is true. And I say most, because my last two.
No. Listen to what I'm saying, all right? None of them were really signed over by their mother. This is what we have to do through our head, okay? We can't say that, because see, that's what people are saying. Well, Mama did it. Mama did not do that. What Mama may not have been aware, which means that it is not valid. It is not a contract, the birth certificate, stuff like that. It's not a contract, because contract means that it has to have full disclosure. It has to have two signatures, an agreement, an offer, acceptance, etc. So we need to quickly not say, we need to quickly recognize that that's not a contract. Therefore, even if those thought it was a contract, even if they want to refer to it as a contract, it is void ab initio because it lacks full disclosure. If it were a contract, what it is what it is. Your mother said, my child will be Susie, whatever, Susie Smith, don't matter. They then took what mother said that she wanted to call her child, and they put it in all caps, and they created a bond. It is a separate thing from what mother said. It is in all caps, which means by all law, it indicates a fiction. No one can, but it does not indicate your child. The only reason it appears to is, as we said earlier, we go along because we don't know. So we thought that it is. Now, as a person gets older and understanding this, that say this happened to, it really didn't happen to, they need to understand that mother didn't do that and that does not represent them in any way. It is a separate, I heard what you said, I'm going to put it in all caps. It's like we know McDonald's is McDonald's. So now we're going to go out and make a corporation in all caps or another, whatever, someone else's appellation and put it in all caps, which immediately means it's not me. So when they say, yeah, we're up on the wall, or they got us up on Wall Street because of these bonds that they created that you cannot destroy because you didn't create it, well, then I would say, no, they're not, because I'm standing right here in front of you. I'm a flesh and blood being, and I'm not up on Wall Street. There's some derivative, a simulacrum of what I am called that is up on, that is somebody went and made a bond with. So we need to be clear. Mother did not do that, and it's not a contract. And we're regretting what we did.
And everything you said is absolutely exact, and that was made clear to me.
It's actually identity theft, and it's true.
It is identity theft, and and then like you said, it's the evidence of human trafficking.
It's not identity theft. It's human trafficking.
It's identity theft as well. It is identity theft.
Well, it is identity theft. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Right.
Yeah. It is. And it's interesting because they'll turn around and charge certain Moors with identity theft. But my thinking, and I'm not, I'm just speculating based on the limited information that I have heard from Moors who were allegedly accused of identity theft.
Yes.
By utilizing their family name.
It doesn't make it right. I'm just saying, if you go out there and you're doing things that sounds like you're under the jurisdiction of the corporation, and you're saying you're a Moor, they're going to classify that as identity theft.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the fine-tuning. This is the serious fine-tuning, because you're right. They are charging Moors with identity theft. But upon that, if you were going to address it, so where's the body of the person that I call identity? Now that can't be produced. So there's the distinction.
Usually when they come down, when they go down that particular path, It's because they have realized that the person, that being has not done his due diligence and study. So now they know that they can throw anything on the table, because if they didn't know how to identify themselves as a Moor, themselves in the jurisdiction of a modern European, then they don't have to worry about them ever being able to distinguish identity theft from, okay, this is who I say I am. They already know.
That's the other side. I mean, that is the other side of that. That is the other side of that. And you can get charged with impersonating a Moor. Wake up on that one. So this is what they're trying to lead to, because if you were really a Moor, you would already have, and meaning law, that you would have already known not to do these things, and you would also know what not to do, even upon the situations that you're in. So, exactly. That's what it's going.
Exactly.
And another thing, let me just add this. Think about it for a second. If they've created a bond that has this appellation, this name tag that sounds like you, they might be desperate enough to try to say that you are stealing the identity of their corporation, which is really crazy, So we got to.
Oh no, that's not crazy. That's exactly what they're holding in. You know what I'm saying? But if you're a card player, you always got the ace in the hole. This is the thing. That is exactly what they can, pull out their tricks, bag of tricks, because of the fact that it is fraud for you to walk around here and claim that you are the birth certificate and utilize that Social Security account. That is fraud, and they can try to charge you with that. That is true.
Okay, hold on. Mm-hmm. This is the reason why, because what they're talking about is a name. And what you're talking about is an appellation.
No, it's a brand. Actually, it's a brand.
Wait a minute. This is the reason why you must correct the name and put your title on it. If you do nothing else, declare your nationality and put the title on it. Now it's distinguished anyway. It was before, because you were born as a natural flesh and blood being, not a corporation. But when you allow it, when we've accepted birth certificate and all that other stuff as being attached to us as us, we have done that without knowledge, so they're going to try to grab onto that now. That's why it's more important for us to correct that name. That's why we have the document for name correction.
Yeah, and I just want to
I only brought that up because the sister spoke on the fact that it would be really crazy for them to go that route, but in reality, that's exactly, I meant to say it's a copyrighted trademark symbol, that name that they've made on their little bonds and in their little system, and what they're utilizing and tricking people into agreeing to be.
Well,
I wanted to say
that's still fraud. That's still fraud, because their copywriting and trademarking, that came after they stole the name from the gift from your mother. Because here's the thing, all of those appellations, they didn't just make them up today. They've been here long before the modern Europeans.
So the true copyright infringement is them, quite frankly.
And corporations cannot own property just like they can't own land, because they can't move in and possess it. And that's why they had that case law where they had that corporation. And they said no, corporations can't commute with this. So they're not beings.
So it means that we really have to have more understanding of what this is, because this is the direction they're going in. So we need to have more clarity about this than we ever needed to have before, because they are only going to see the weakness in our knowledge and jump on it like a vampire would, sucking the bloodline, and see if they can actually charge you with identity theft as if whatever, even that nom de guerre, that like, I mean, he said your mother said that if anybody's identity thieving, it's them.
Indeed. And also, last point for also let the sister know, like she said, she chose to stay home and be with her child. She chose to do her job, which is to be mother. That is your job here. When you come here and you are put in a position to allow the ancestor to come through you, i.e. give birth, then your job is to do that right there. It's not to be sitting up in somebody's corporate office, somebody's retail store, somebody could be, no. Your job now at this point is to be at home because that is your workplace. You got a lot of work to do. And we do put ourselves under undue distress because of how we're trained in this culture. But like she said, she was like, no, I'm staying home. And the finances was low, but she made it. And I'm in that situation. But, see, I've been conditioned to not chase after their so-called paper well before I knew anything about my nationality, before I knew anything about, this being fiat. It was just something in me that I just did not have a respect or a desire for what they call money. Now that I know the truth about it, I'm so grateful I've walked the way I've walked. But that once again show you how the universe is in control, and if you can align yourself with it, this is easy. It really is easy.
Yeah. Now let me say this. Let's bring that divine law in on this in terms of mother's duties. What it is the covenant. See, and the ark of the covenant is the womb. When a mother is pregnant, no matter what her size is, skinny, fat, tall, whatever, her stomach, where her womb extends, it creates a perfect arc geometrically. It's a perfect arc. So then the code is ark of the covenant. So that's the ark. Now you want to say, well, what's the covenant? Covenant means agreement, and so I'm bringing it back. You said the agreement is to bring the souls in, the children in, and that is what that duty is. So you're right. When we walk in that with the divineness of it, the universe walks with us. But what they've done is establish some mental condition where you think that you cannot, that you will not be money unless you come to them and color yourself in order to get some sort of benefits, when in actuality, all of those attributes for the Aboriginals anyway, that they cover up and say and make you turn yourself into color, Negro, black, or whatever in order to receive them. So when you have that knowledge, you know how to approach it from that perspective as well, if you need it.
Okay. Someone was speaking on the fact that getting mother out of the house. I remember there was one of our European sons, and when you all were speaking, I was like, I got to share that with them. But he had did some research and had exposed, and he had a relationship with one of the Rockefeller boys, and he was letting it be known in one of their conversations of how they funded the so-called feminist movement for their whole purpose of getting mother out the home. Because their thing was, we're only taxing 50% of the population because it was only men out of the house working at that time. If we can get the female out the home, we can tax the entire population. And also indoctrinate the children at an earlier age. That was their agenda way back when. Russo. What's this? Is A. Russo, Aaron Russo. Oh, my goodness. He transcended it maybe a year or two back. But, yes, I watched his information put out there. I think they took him out. But nonetheless, he let it be known that, that was a part of their agenda to definitely get the female out of the house. And it wasn't just the Moorish female. It was all females. Get them out the house so they can, continue on their thing of trying to, I don't know, control the world. Is that what their plan is?
That was the patriarchal thing in the Inquisition and the reversal of nature and all of that that they were doing. And so now where we are, where in the Indica Terra Divina, which recorded that intent, and that was by Pope Alexander VI, I think. And so now to this day we have that representative with that title, Pope, saying, guess what? We immigrants. You know what I mean? We are not really, like a vicar means substitute God, by the way, and that's what a pope is as well. But he's saying on the congressional floor here, where Congress is supposed to be Moors, is Moors, not supposed to be, is. It means to walk with. Congress means to walk with. So we were walking with these Europeans, establishing the Congress to walk with them and walk them into some freedom. That's what we were doing, to some liberties instead of being as badly as they were. So congress means to walk with. So it was us. Articles of Association will prove that if you go read it. It's only one page, I think, 1.5 pages. It's on the Forgotten Scrolls page, but it's, a congressional record as well. So so he came in and said, okay, the gig is up. And it always says that there was a time frame that they had in order to so-called conquer, people. And then if you read anything, including King Alfred, including the Willie Lynch theory, as they call it, it says that the only thing that can ruin this is if people begin to have knowledge of what it is. And people are beginning to have knowledge because it's the age of information, where humanity is at its, pinnacle here. And so now they are having knowledge and is breaking it down. And what we're seeing is what they've always done, but was able to do it more subtly and was able to get away with it because of our lack of knowledge. And so that's what we're seeing. We are seeing the truth, which is the source of all things made manifest. And it is up for us to know which side of the pole or polarity we are on, because for every action there is, in fact, an equal and opposite reaction, and that's what this is all about, including when you have a child. You know what I'm saying? The opposite reaction to birth of the child is how you raise the child and what you taught them so that they can bring that into society. It's called Islam.
Islam. And I see it in my oldest, 18, that time, and it's so awesome because I did this without the knowledge that the Prophet brought back to us to free ourselves. And to see him now, standing as he is, a Moor, contracting and being a man, or son of man, handling his affairs without fear. He's not ducking and dodging, cops. He's not worried about hearing the lights come on. He's not, and just to sit back and know that I had a hand in this, given everything that was facing me, the way that I was supposed to have been engineered, and to know that this was what I reared, and all because I paid attention when he was young and seeing the magnificent that was he as an infant and as a baby, and said, you know what, I got to teach him how to read. You know what, I got to, it just made me make a choice at the crossroads. Am I going to be a head batting, Cheetos eating, loud mouth, I don't care about reading nothing, female, because that's how I'm supposed to be because I'm trained that way, or am I going to be that which I came here to be? And that took some time to be able to open up that box and let it free, and here we are.
Yes, well, listen, sister, we really thank you for all of your information, but Sister Jayana has a comment to make also here, so we thank you for your information, but she wants to comment on, I believe, the name situation. Jayana, are you still there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. I was, shoot. Yeah,
you said you wanted to make a comment in regard to the fact about the name.
Oh, yeah. Roz, you had brought up the name. You said y'all was talking about something about the birth certificate, and they was utilizing the all caps, and you was like, well, actually they're taking the name, and somebody said not the name, but I was saying that they are taking the name, and I gave the definition for the name in the article, our name.
You mean they're making what Mother called you a name, is what you're saying?
A name, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They're making.
You want to give that definition because
I wanted to give all of. So that's what I was trying to point out. I knew what you were saying when you were saying they was making it a name, and so I got 3 definitions because with the word you want to look at the root of the word also. And all of that. So I got NAM, and that's in Old English law, a distress or seizure of chattels, and that's out the Black Law Dictionary. And then the Saxon attacking or taking of movable goods and chattels are mort, and everybody knows mort is is actually is the root word of civil mortus, right? So that means dead in the eyes of the law. So the name, right, mort, according as the chattel were living or dead. And then and then name, the designation of an individual, person, form, or corporation. And that's the name. Oh, yeah. It consists of one or more of the Christian or given names or more certain names of the family name. So I was just saying.
Wait a minute. You said one or more of the Christian names, so not only is it a tag, it's a Christian tag.
Exactly. So I was saying that I knew what you were saying when you were saying they was taking what the mother called and making it a name, because they're making it a name in the law and as far as how we look at name in law.
Well, this is good to explain to the people who may not know. This is why we use the terminology of an appellation, which is appellate to the body mother gave you. So, and not a name. And we have to come out of that. My name is. That's why it said, I am, right? I am that I am, of course. So it's like, well, what's your name? You say, no, I am. And then you say what it is. You don't have to give anybody a history on it, but you have to present that yourself properly. And this is why we say appellation. And there's a lot of people who don't know what that is, even though, you know, they want to get an identification card, but it's right on there. And some of them don't know, and that's all right. But now we trust that they will, especially with the definition you just offered on what the name is. I had a discussion with someone who was reading other definition of name, and they were swearing down to me that name was right until I dug up the same definitions you have, and I sent it and emailed it to them. And I said, not only is it a tag, a corporate tag, it's a Christian corporate tag. You know. So this is why.
And I wanted to make another comment because something else came up where you were talking about. You guys were talking about how sometimes they get them with identity theft, and sometimes, and E was saying sometimes they do get them with identity theft because people are not studying and they are doing things out of harmony. And so I just wanted to make a comment that people are, everybody has to remember that it is a divine and national movement. So what I say that to say that the divine part is all about what we was talking about, that self-reflection, that spiritual side, and the national side is all about the civil. So the thing is that after the people get the law, a lot of us, I hear a lot of people when they call, they do got it. They got it on the law side, but what they're lacking is the divine side. And so they get the information, but they don't stop to do the study and the reflection of self. So when they go out there and they make these moves, they're making the moves out of harmony and not on the right time. And so when I mean by the right time, I mean by each of us has a certain time. Each of us has a time where we are supposed to be doing something, but everybody's trying to do something before it's the time. So you get your butt kicked right back down, right? Because the universe is saying, sit back down. It's not your time to make that move yet. So what we need to do is sit back and not only continue to study the law, but study yourself so that you will be in harmony with the universe. So when you do go out there and make the moves, not only will you be educated in law because you've been studying, but you'll be in harmony with your time as far as making certain moves. And I just want to say this, that when I used to, I had a lot of court days, and I'm actually, sometimes I don't even make it to the courtroom, and that's the truth. I'm dead serious. Because what I do is this. If they give me a court date, I look up my transit on that day. If my transit don't say it's a good time for me to make that move, I will reschedule it or something like that, because it's the fact that I'm not about to be doing anything out of harmony, and I'm not in a rush to do anything, and I'm not proving anything to nobody. That's right. So I just say that go ahead.
What you're saying is what status is. See, because a lot of people don't get, like you're saying about civil. So status is this is the definition right in Black's Law. You can look it up yourself. Status means your relationship to the community. whatever's going down. Your relationship to the community, but it is not just a mere relationship to the community. It is a lawful and legal one to the community. You see what I'm saying? So this is so very important for us to really recognize. And what you're also saying is about the appointed time. I'll give an example of that we see, is that people are, like the prophet said, if you don't do anything else, declare your nationality, right? And that links you back to the family of nations, right? So now people are not declaring, because that means to be clear yourself, because anything written is just a brief on, your position regarding the matter. Like you did a brief on your position regarding the matter of coming into one of their meeting rooms on a day that you know is not good for you. So you're like, no, we got to reschedule this. It's not happening. You know what I'm saying? Exercising those things, So people are doing the proclamation, which is written, and it's sad because a lot of them we find didn't even read what they put in writing, where whatever they put in writing as a writ is really a brief on their position regarding the matter, whatever the matter is. And so they're not declaring, but they're proclaiming, and that's out of time. You have to first be clear first and then proclaim, and they're not doing that. So some people are declaring, never proclaiming. Some people are proclaiming, not declaring. And the first is to declare. That will be first. That means that you can do who you want with or without the paper, right? Yeah. Like you just said, sometimes you don't even go in, But, I think, Annie, you may have had a comment, but Jayana, something you said about you let the so-called sheriff know that you weren't in their jurisdiction. Did you want to talk about that, or you don't want to talk about that?
No, I didn't know that you guys were talking about. Anna E., you texted me a couple of days before about the title writ, right? So I thought that's what you was talking about when you said because you said writ. So no, we don't have to go up. No, that's
no. It's all right. But you know what? I do want to, because it's like 3:30, and so we got like another 30 minutes before we get booted off, and we got a couple more callers. But before we take our next caller, I just want to say, to the sisters, all sisters who are studying, it's a wonderful thing. Big shout out to all the sisters who are studying, and they have their family in the front of their minds, because it's very easy to get distracted. So hats off, and big shout out to all my sisters who are studying, who are enforcing the Constitution, who have woken up and is putting it down. Islam.
Because we are family, right? That's it.
That's right. Islam. And I know, and to the sisters on the line, it was scary when you first took a stand, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was scary, wasn't it? It was
difficult.
It was the butterfly. Yeah.
Because I was facing mitigating circumstances.
Exactly. You did it anyways, because
they had my daughter. I was just now learning, and they were trying to pursue my oldest one over some bogus, and I wouldn't let it go. So the first thing I did was send my writ in about jurisdiction, and they couldn't answer it. So the guy finagled his way on the situation with my daughter, and the very first thing he asked on the first meeting, and it was only he and I, two of his so-called staffers, and as I say, I ain't going to do that, but the biological and his partner of sorts, or whatever she was to him. The first thing he asked me was, do you still challenge my jurisdiction, knowing that my daughter was wrapped up in this? That was the first thing he said out of his mouth, because he knew that everybody in that room besides he and I knew it was being discussed at that very moment. He knew that, and he knew that he had my daughter, and lo and behold, she's home now, but still, she had to get her arm broke by them people in order for her to get back to me. Ain't that something?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. But it was frustrating. It was scary. Yes, it was. But you know what? Done with that. Ain't no fear. You can't be fearful when you know.
And I just want, all the sisters listening to realize one thing. It's going to be scary whether you do something or you don't do something. So you might as well do something to protect you and your babies. Now, the other caveat is your babies is not just the ones you give birth to. Sometimes your baby include the son that's sleeping next to you. And I don't mean your biological son. There's only one thing going on this planet, in this dimension, and that's mother and son.
And you know what? And you just said sometimes it even if it didn't come out of your womb or whatever, it's still your baby's, and that needs to be understood, especially with sons. Siring a child means you have knowledge that one is born, and if you really go back, you'll see that they use the terminology that, oh, well, I'm siring a child. That means you have knowledge that a child is being born, be it in your family, your wife, your whoever it is, and the responsibility of that. It doesn't have to be your child or what you think is your child because maybe you shot the electrical sperm that activated the egg or not. We're one family, and that leaves me. Joanna, could you read that definition you have about nation? Because it says to be born, to those who are born, right? You have it in front of you, right?
Yeah. I got it in front of me. I got it. Nation. It's a noun. It's from Latin or nato. Birth, a race, people, natus, to be born. A body of people inhabiting the same country or are united under the same sovereign or government.
There you go.
But
that's it.
The thing about it is birth, a race, people from nato or natus, to be born. So anyway, nation means to be born, period. So there you go. Right.
Well, let's take these other two callers before we run out of time. I think one of them is your sidekick, Sister Gianna. But let me take this caller here. Caller 980255.
And when all of it, you got to highlight the 3, the 16, and all of that.
All right.
What is that? So, brother, you there?
I don't know.
He's doing a lesson, though.
They doing something. So we're going to take our last caller, which I think is this Sister Elitra?
Yes, it is. It's Mom.
I know it was your sidekick, Sister Gianna.
I knew she was going to get in. I knew she was going to get in. Her fingers was tipping. She had to get in there.
Islam family, Islam. Thank you for taking the call. This is definitely a beautiful show because I'm learning a lot more just than about being a mom. I'm learning about self too. Just taking some notes for myself. But I did want to share that when we were talking about just knowledge and just knowing ourselves. I remember when I was younger, my father used to tell me that I was a hard head and that a hard head would make a soft behind. And so what I knew early on is that I would be one that would, run forward and just take the bull by the rein. And sometimes that's not always a good thing. But I think for me, I was always driven by this thing called truth. And I just would stand in it no matter what. And but what I learned is that with those trials and tribulations, they made me kind of like who I am today. There was a lot of lessons learned. And I didn't cry over spilled milk. I just learned it I took it as a lesson in some way, shape, or form. And I grew from it. So sometimes with that hard-headedness, you may get knocked. But like you said, don't cry, woe is me. Just learn from it. And I definitely am in a position now that as I'm learning more about being a Moor and what we're supposed to be doing and being active, I take it from a collective standpoint. It's just not me. It's not just about me. When I send a writ out, I want to make sure that it's representative of everybody and so that they're not looking at one more that's just coming out the gate unequipped. Because because we all reflect upon each other, because every living thing depends upon every other living thing.
It's connected. Right.
So we have to represent, as a whole and as a collective. And I can say that my experience as being a mom and having my son in the hospital, he was my first. And I just remember they took him for a long time, and I had to demand him back into my room. And I kept saying, where is my son? And they were like, oh, well, you're going to be tired. I said, no, I want my son, and I had to demand.
How many years ago was that?
14. He was 14 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
And they were doing stuff like that back then, and I just think about even though I didn't have that knowledge base, if you will, I just still I knew that something wasn't right, and I'm like, what are they doing with my son? So just intuitively, I knew to protect my child. And there was an incident, like I said, where I went to a doctor, and they were trying to tell me that they needed to speak to him by himself because now he's a teenager, and I wouldn't allow them to do that. And like I said, I don't know you people from a can of paint. I don't know if you could be asking him something deceptively, and he doesn't know how to answer that. So I have to make sure that you're not asking him anything deceptive. And they're like, well, sometimes if the children are in front of the abuser, they won't speak. And I said, well, I'm his mother. And so my first duty is to protect him, not yours. That's my son. And I wouldn't abuse him because I love him more than you or anybody else who claims that they have an interest in him. And so we just have to really understand that sometimes these people push their policies on us. We just got to know the law. And like you said, just knowing where we stand. And I just think this is like a really good class here because, like I said, I learned a lot. I take in a lot, and I appreciate everything. And, Jayana, you did a great job on just bringing that to life.
Yes,
indeed. About, the mothers.
Don't get it now with this new child ID, man. If they don't realize that they eliminate mom off of that, which means that eliminating nationality. Anytime they eliminate nationality, they eliminated mother. So when you really look at this, that the void of your nationality and your title to your vast estate is elimination of mother. But that's the intent anyway. See, the intent was to do that, although, we think it's, they're after the sons. Well, they are after the sons because they're supposed to be the ones who are the defenders of the family. You know what I mean? The law enforcers. So if they can get them out the way,
And it's like abandonment.
But it's really the mother that they're getting out of the way with even the fact of even removing the nationality. Where do you think that came from? Your mother. Your mother. They're removing her. And that's why the prophet has on the 101s, she sleeps. And when she wakes up, this meeting will be on. You know what I'm saying? So this is why we have this call out to mothers to get it straight. And we know we love our children and our sons, or our daughters and our sons. And another thing, like if someone does find themselves in the hospital and say they want to breastfeed, I wanted to bring this up, and then they might tell you something like, well, we can't have the baby in the bed with you because you might roll over and smother him. Well, that's your job, first attendant, to make sure that after, like if we fall asleep with that beautiful bonding process or whatever like that, the bassinet that they have can remain in my room with the child. You know what I'm saying? That happened to me, but I woke up and I heard from, oh, my God, this is an instinctive thing. You know your children, and I heard my son crying from way around the corridor. I got up out of the bed, and I walked all the way down because I had the cesarean thing. So, I walked all the way down, walked into the nursery. Now, this is a newborn, but what you are connected to. And I heard this crying, and I walking in, the nurse is sitting here rocking the bassinet reading a book. I said, give me my bag. And I took my child and took it back to my room. You know what I'm saying? So this is the instinctive things, and we cannot allow anyone to violate, abrogate, or in any way sever that connection at all. because that's what they do. You must follow, sisters, the dictates of your soul.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be
I can attest to that one with my little boy, my first one.
You're talking too close to your mic. You're distorted, sis.
I was just saying that's just like when I look at that ID and then when they take the mother and the fact that they don't have anything on there, it looks as though it's like abandoned prop, like it's abandonment.
Yeah, that's
right. And that's kind of how I looked at the whole ID. Like the baby just looked like he was so abandoned.
Well,
just the whole. That was the first concept.
What do you think is on the signature line? It has baby footprints on there.
Mhm.
On the signature line. Come on, that's a brain. What? This is
on there it said unable to sign. On there it said unable to sign.
It says unable to sign on one of them with the signature ought to be. Mhm.
Yeah, and then it's another one that Roz is saying on the signature should be is a baby footprint.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, I didn't let them touch my son at all. They didn't. I didn't even let them wrap him in their blanket. I had his own, had the hat. These things were to be placed on him immediately and given them to me. And as far as that take them out the room, no, they don't never leave the room. And as far as my bed, it's very rare that they'll get in that little plastic thing, but yeah, they're in my bed. And it's so funny because, again, it's instinct, just instinct. No, I can't allow you to touch him, especially this last one coming through. So they got no footprint, no blood type, no, they don't know nothing about the child that came through on that day.
That's wonderful because we kept our own records. We got these people keeping records of our children when we can keep our own records on our children, and they do that. It's just like they're setting it up. Like there's some mothers out here, man, I tear for that they're taking their child during the pregnancy. They've got some fiend authority over the child, and sometimes when the child is born, they remove the child immediately at that point. You know what I mean? And I know there's situations where a child can be in an abusive situation or whatever like that.
Right.
But if we come back as family, we always have those other supports. One of the reasons that is happening is because mothers are not teaching their daughters right. Period.
That's right.
Or there's not.
I don't understand the reason why they try to get all that information, and that goes back to what NNE does, is to collect that information on the natal chart as well, so they can have a clear, because they're already going to be studying you from day one anyway, and to get all that information, the appellation, the time, the day, they got all that they need to work your natal chart as well.
Well, they do, and when they're really on a serious level, that's when they'll send you stuff, because don't think that they don't use judicial astrology and know that they're going to come in on some untoward, not good energy for yourself. And just like Sister Jayana said, nope, not happening today. You know what I mean? Like
Annie always say this is uniting the family. So when you talk about people with abused children and stuff like that, it's still no excuse because that anybody should be taking their children because that is a family issue. So the family needs to be stepping up and taking care of that, not no foreigner or anybody who don't even care about it.
And that applies, Jayana, to this child support where these sisters are reporting the so-called fathers, daddy's babies, whatever, they always get their mama's daddy baby or whatever, to these institutions. They are in absolute error to do that because if it is a moral issue, and it is, it doesn't belong with them to monitor it or to have any adjudication regarding it. It is our problem to resolve our moral issues regarding our family. It is ours, not theirs, because we now know what their intent is anyway. They shot situations that destroy the family, and now they're just picking the crops. They're reaping the harvest from those things that they've done. That's all that it is. You have a 17, 18, 19-year-old boy pushing a baby couch with a 3-month-old baby in it just because he got visitation right. Absolutely absurd. Every mother should be, rolling over in the grave on that one. You know what I mean? Because that baby belongs on the breast of a mother, even if you're not breastfeeding for any reason. There's nothing wrong with that. What do you think that's doing? to the sons and to the family. Like, this is totally out of order. We need to take responsibility for our family and our nation.
Mm-hmm. But the circle come and say, this is era. That is the era.
And before, and I know that we have 15 minutes before we get booted out. So
that goes to the reflection that the child themselves will have when they have to do their reflection back to their personal lives and how they was put into society. You know, it's kind of stupid. But I guess we moving on to the next caller, or is this the last call?
No, there is no next caller, and we're almost out of time. And it's really, it's just time to really thank the sisters for joining in this conversation. Thank you, Sister Jayana, for writing that information so that we can share it with the family. And Sister Elitra, Sister Energy, thank you so much for joining in and participating in this discussion. And I trust, I know that this information was helpful to all sisters who are listening or who may listen. And, you know, like the prophet said, this is for the young and the yet unborn. So we need to really be downloading this show, and we need to put it on CDs, and we need to just pass it out to any sister we come across, whether they are conscious or not, because they are the ones that are going to be bringing in the next generation. And it's great that we got it. It's a wonderful thing that we got it, but we need the next generation to get it so that we are not a next generation of crops.
I call the next generation the new skins. Remember the prophet said, and we've all heard it, you can't put you can't put new wine in old skin. But this information is really... I'm saying this, I'm just justifying what I call new skins and why I call it new skins, which is the next generation that you're talking about. Because this information is really not old wine. I mean, not new wine. It's really old wine. This is cultural, ancient principles of civilization, you know, of which we are the direct descendants of the mothers and fathers of civilization and civilization principles that ended up teaching the modern European the same in trying to bring them into civility.
Yeah.
All right? Right. So it's old wine that can certainly go into new skin. And that's the new generation. Because this is still the young and unborn. And the unborn are the eggs in her womb, right? Islam.
Exactly, yes. Now, the reason that I mentioned, like, the next crop is because if you watch through the movie The Matrix, they show you how they converted the people into energy. And people probably didn't make the connection. The energy is equivalent to the currency, and they tell you in the movie The Matrix that people are no longer born. They are harvested like crops.
Yes.
And it is for this reason why we need the sisters to wake up. She is fallen humanity. And in order to make sure or ensure that the young and the yet receive this information, she has to wake up. So with that, I want to thank everybody for participating, listening, joining, sharing the energy, all of the family, especially the sisters across the nation, around the world that listen to this particular broadcast, or actually any broadcast of Moor's Heritage and History School. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, this is about uplifting fallen humanity. It is the uniting of family. And we will see you on Tuesday at 9:30 for Principles of Nationality. Peace and love.
Peace and love, Islam.